Tierney,
And I'm Ashley.
and this is the Bomb Ass Moms podcast. What's up, girl?
What's up, Tierney? We are back. Our girl Erica will join us a little bit later. But in the meantime, before we get started with this conversation, let's tell people or remind people don't forget to like, share, subscribe on all platforms on IG, on Facebook, on YouTube, Bomb Ass Moms Podcast. We are still going strong. What are we at? Episode what? I don't know. It's past 15. So I'm super excited that we're still going strong.
Yes, and we have a break coming up, but I think we're going to push out 20 episodes before we take a break. Y'all go back and listen to all of our episodes because y'all have missed some good material and we really want to talk to y'all.
Right. So, like, shoot us a message for those that have, shot us a message. We appreciate you. We want to just make sure we take time to answer whatever questions that you may have when you go back and listen, or if you've already listened, if you have questions about guests that have been on an episode, we want to make sure that we, communicate with y'all and let y'all know or answer your questions. So, now that we got all that out the way, T, girl, what are we talking about today?
Girl, what are we talking about? Because I've had a long week and
You
let's talk about
and
that.
what? Okay. Well, I mean, so you said that you've had a long week. Girl, I had a long week too. Each week, man, I don't know what's to come of it. But how do you feel, or when do you know when enough is enough? Meaning, like, in your professional life, in your personal life, so you don't have a mental breakdown. Because when so much pressure builds up or so much stress builds up, you can break. And I am a witness to that. So, like, when is enough enough?
Well, I have a lot of kind of like triggers to let me know when enough is enough. But
Okay.
let's hear from you first, because I want to get it together.
Okay. Well, I had to really think about not you saying you want to get together, but anyway, I had to really think about it because I'm not necessarily a yes woman, but however, when I do something, I want to do it to the best of my ability. Now, have I had a couple of failures in life? Absolutely. But if my name is on something or someone asks me to do something, I'm going to try my best to make it a great project, a great conversation, whatever.
Okay, hold up.
So,
So when you say you're not a yes woman, explain that. You're not going to say yes to
okay,
everything or
to
what?
everything, correct. I'm not going to say, yeah, oh, yay, or yes to everything. No, because it's going to come with some questions or I can't do. But I'm just saying, when I am doing something, I try my best to make it great.
Okay. So wait,
So,
you're
yeah,
not a yes woman to your man?
well, I don't have no man. So, baby, you
Okay.
know, so
Well,
no,
I mean, because
I mean,
my
if I
man,
had
my
a
man,
man,
my man over here, I say
man,
yes. I say yes. I say 98% of the time over here.
ooh, girl,
So I guess
that's
I'm a
the
yes woman.
majority. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so I guess there's different circumstances where you are considered a yes woman because you're just describing that you're a yes woman to your man, your man, your man, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're a yes woman in your profession. You're not going to say
Right.
yes all the time. Like, I can't be a people pleaser or I can't say yes all the time. Going back to me saying when my name is on something, I want to make sure that it's great. Or if you ask me for advice, I want to make sure that I try to give you the best advice. So, what I mean by when is enough, or I ask the question, when is enough enough? You have to know within yourself, and maybe that comes with experience when you've like had it to your limit. And I say all that to say, this past week, I was, doing Nurses Week, like executing Nurses Week. I had already planned it with my committee and everything like that. And so we wanted to make sure that it was a successful Nurses Week. But in the meantime, as I've stated on previous episodes, I have a second job, I have a child. So, all these other factors that are going on in my life. And so, with that being said, leading up to Nurses Week, I had worked two 12-hour shifts. I was staying up late trying to make sure the gifts were right. So, pretty much, I say all that to say I was losing sleep. And so, I didn't realize that the lack of sleep would make me have a mental break. And honestly, it took someone at work to pull me to the side and be like, ma'am, you just need to go. Don't focus on anything else. Just go get some rest. Because any little thing that someone said to me or asked me, I was on edge and I was like snapping. And that's not me. And I was like, why am I snapping? And it's probably because I was sleep deprived. So
Mhm.
I came home and went to bed. I mean, I didn't feel 100% myself the next day, but I definitely felt better. But because I was trying to do everything and make everything, a success, I was losing sleep and losing it. And I had to really have somebody else to say, hey, ma'am, this is enough.
So, Ashley, how did you feel when that person kind of noticed what you were going through and actually just took you to the side and was like, hey, I think you need to step down and go to bed or go home. You need a break?
I mean, I burst out into tears. I'm having a transparent moment. I cried. Like, it was because it made me feel like not necessarily that I was helpless, but I definitely was an emotional wreck and I burst out into tears. And I was crying. I was trying to explain myself. And they was like, no, just stop, go home, go straight home. Don't answer nobody's call and go right to bed because I can see that this is not you. So honestly, I didn't tell myself enough was enough. Somebody else had to point that out to me, and I had to be receptive of that feedback and listen.
True.
So, girl, man, it was tough for me. I'm not gonna lie, because again, like I just mentioned, I want things to be right, but you can't give 100% to something if you're not 100%.
Oh my
So,
God. That is so true.
yeah.
So
So, I mean,
did you notice that you were like kind of snappy or irritated?
I did, but I still try to keep running on fumes. Cause like I ain't gonna lie. Like my boss would even say something to me, like interrupt me. This is how I know I was about to have a break too, because like I couldn't focus on more than one thing at one time. So like if I'm in the middle of a conversation or if I was in the middle of something and then someone interjects or try to give their ideas or try to give their suggestions, it was annoying the crap out of me. I was becoming irritated and I was just like, I can't focus on it right now. I gotta focus on this. And like I was shaking and stuff and I was like, oh my God, like I'm trying to run on fumes, trying to make sure everything is good to go on top of like manage my job. It was just a lot. And so, yes, I did notice it, but I still tried to keep going. And so that's when the person pulled me to the side and was like, ma'am, this is not like you. I need you to go get some rest, try to reset, regroup, and start over. But again, it was hard for me to accept that because I was trying to push through and I should have been listening to my body, right? I can't do it all. And it's really hard to accept that sometimes. But one of my weaknesses is like delegating things. That's one of my weaknesses that I'm working on. And so when it comes to like professional life, I'm literally trying every day. And that takes active work to try to say, hey, I trust you to do this task. Let me delegate that to you.
Sweetheart, with your position, isn't that one of the things you should be doing? Delegating to your, I guess, people that look up to you?
Subordinates,
Yeah.
subordinates,
Yeah.
yes. But again, if it's a weakness and you're trying to work on that weakness, it's very hard to do. So, with that being said, I am actively trying. And I know that after this last week, oh my God, I know I have to delegate more because I can't get to this breaking point anymore. I'm not functional. And I
Mhm.
don't want to be where I'm not functional.
Okay, so you've said to help yourself with this issue to make sure you don't go above your limit. One thing you're going to delegate to others. What else have you put in place to make sure you don't get to that limit?
Well, I ain't put nothing in place, girl. I'm trying to work on it day by day. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I ain't put nothing in place.
Okay,
However,
we're at a
some I
starting point. That's the most important thing. We're at a starting point. We know. Yeah,
okay.
so you have recognized that you have an issue, and it's not only you. I think all of us at once upon a time, we have these issues where we just want to go, 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 go. And then we don't realize that, hey, you need to take a break because maybe you're missing a step or you're forgetting to do this or you're getting irritable, you know?
Yeah. So I mean, again, it has come to fruition that like I'm like, okay, Ashley, you really gotta work on this because I don't want to break like I did this past week. Now, do we all have good days? Do we all have bad days? Absolutely. But now that I realize that and recognize that I need to delegate more because I can't do it all, the more I rank up, I cannot be boots on ground and doing it all. I have to delegate. So that means I have to trust the people that work under me, or trust the people that work beside me to do the task. And I know I mentioned earlier that, sometimes we fail at things. So sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I got to be okay with giving them a task. And if they don't succeed, now I want them to succeed, but if they don't succeed, I have to recognize that that is okay. And we can do this over, and we can learn from that and grow from that and then figure it out again. Right. But I have to be okay with that. And so, yes, it's taking me one day at a time to realize and to be okay with that. Now, again, it's going to take work on my end because I'm used to doing. But now it's really time to take a step back because I don't want to age before I'm actually the age that I'm supposed to be. I don't want to become
Right.
older I don't want to have a head full of gray hair because I'm so stressed out. And don't get me wrong, during this week when I had that break, when I was stressed out, I definitely went to God in prayer and said, God, I need you to guide me through this. I definitely had a conversation with God, but it still is going to take work on my end. So professionally, I know that's what I need to work on. I also know I need to work on my nonverbal, girl. But that's a whole nother subject for another day because I'm telling you, my face tells people what I'm thinking. And I know as a leader, I need to work on that. So when enough is enough, I need to work on my delegation and work on my nonverbal. But I know that about me, and I know that I am taking one day, one step at a time to become better.
Yeah. So for me, when enough is enough, I'm all over the place, to be honest.
It's all good. Start with 1 point at a time.
Listen, that yes shit, it goes out the window. Like the nice shit, it goes out the window.
Hold up.
Excuse my language.
Yes shit for wait a minute. Yes shit for what? Because you say
Everything.
yes.
Nah.
But you just said you say yes to your man. So what is it? Hold
Well,
up
when my
now.
man have pushed me to the limit where enough is enough,
Then
hey,
it ain't yes. It ain't
no,
yes.
it's
It's
not. Let
hold
me
up, hold
tell
up.
you something.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna tell you, it's yes
Okay.
after you get a mouthful of, beep, 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 beep. Okay?
Oh Lord.
Because first, I'll just say this. Sometimes you try to do things different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I have always known, I mean, since maybe early college, that, my communication skills are not that strong as
Okay.
far as positive communication. A lot of times I just say what I want to say
Mm.
and we can talk about it, but I'm gonna tell you exactly how I feel. And I do preface, if you don't want my opinion, don't ask. Or if you don't want to hear what I gotta say, let's not have this conversation. And I also say, hey, I may not say the right things. So just take that into context where it's, listen to what I'm saying and not the entire words that I'm using. Because I might
Mm-hmm.
hurt your feelings, but that's not my intention. My intention is like, listen to what I'm trying to tell you. Don't listen to,
But
oh, you getting on my damn nerves. Listen to, hey, be patient with me. You know what I'm saying?
but
Like,
okay, T, but if you coming off like with the tone, and I'm guilty too, but if you coming off with a certain tone, it's hard to hear what you want the people to hear. Oh no, that
well,
didn't
it's
make
not
sense.
nah, it's not the tone. That's not what I'm saying. Now, sometimes I can have a messed up tone, but I'm saying like
Mm.
it's certain words. Like you remember we had a conversation and you was like, well, if you're using the word why, then some people they get defensive. And me
Yeah.
in my head, you know, why I'm just asking you a question and that should not bother you if I'm saying why this or why that. And you was like, well, try to re-say it with different words. Well, for me, the way my mind just think, it's hard for me to come up with different words. Yeah, I have a vast look, I got a good vocabulary, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like when you're emotional and you want to get something out, to think of those words, to sit back and be like, okay, how can I say this? For me, it's easier to write it down and then it will be better. But if I say it, oh, it's going to be messed up. It's going to be messed up. So verbally speaking for me, when it's about something that really matters to me, or if I've gotten to that point where enough is enough, it's hard for it to come out the correct way. I'm not going to lie. So
wait a minute. So I hear you saying that it's very hard for you to verbalize or express certain things because you think that it will come off wrong, or it may come off wrong, or people may not understand what you're trying to convey, right?
that's when I've gotten to that point.
Okay. So when you've gotten to that point, so what you're saying is you try to communicate and try to have a conversation, don't have a tone or anything, but then when people aren't getting what you're trying to put down, it's when you start to be at your limit and enough is enough and it come off all wrong. Am I understanding that right?
You know what I think I've started doing, because I think you got it right, but there's a thing about me, right? So since people have made it known that I don't really speak verbally well to people, I don't use the right words. Now, I don't see it as saying anything wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not the purpose behind my word. For me, I'm just talking regular, right? I don't see anything wrong with my words. People take it that way. So it's like the way you perceive things is the way you perceive it. It may not be the way that it's said. But you have to also be aware of how things will be perceived. And sometimes I'm not aware of that. Just like the why doesn't matter to me. I'm not aware that why is a trigger for people. To me, in my brain, why is just a regular question. Like, oh, why did you fold your clothes up like that? That's triggering to some people, because it's like, oh, why are you questioning how I do things? Well, I really just wanted to know why you do it that way, you know?
So, yes. And I hear you and I'm listening to you.
But
And
what? But what?
no. Listen, for real. We definitely think a little bit differently because I'm thinking of you hit the point of, the why it can be triggering to some because I've said that before. And then you said you don't grasp the concept that somebody's perception may be what it is, right? You're just thinking that it's normal or that's just how you converse and just put out whatever you need to put out. But I say all this to say sometimes we may not recognize that something is wrong until other people point it out. It's not that they're trying to change you, but I will say take it for what it is when people say, hey, when you said X, Y, and Z, and I think we've had a conversation about this too, whatever, about how something came across. So your mind may not think that anything's wrong, but when you're conversing or trying to convey something to someone else, they may perceive it, and you can't change their perception.
Right.
All you can do is explain that that's not what you meant, but you got to understand how when you send out a message, how it's received, right?
Yeah.
And it may not be received well to someone else, even though in your mind you weren't meaning it like however we took.
Right. And so that's why I preface anything that I say. But that tells the other person, hey, be patient with me because I might not use all the right words. We can talk about this. I don't want you to get upset because of the words that I use. And if you are upset, please let me know. Like, I'm one of those people, like, I don't get upset until I perceive that you're getting upset with me. If you say, yeah, no,
Guilty.
seriously.
I'm sorry because we had to have this conversation. Guilty as charged. Because I'm like, what the hell is she trying to say? Like, hold up now. And we had to have a conversation. And sometimes in that moment, I may cannot converse with you in that moment because I know me, and I'll probably be a little bitch. And I don't want to come off like that because we're friends, whatever. But at the end of the day, like, there have been times where I was like, what is she trying to say? But I let it cool. I let it blow over. And then we go back to talking about it.
Right. And then we say, oh, okay, it wasn't how I thought. It was just like, oh, she said some messed up words and I ain't like that. But when I talked to her, it wasn't really how she meant it. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I know it's me, y'all. I know it's me. I know.
Well,
And
I
I
mean,
tell
I'm just saying,
people.
if you know that, you know what I'm saying, all I'm saying is, and it's for anybody out there that may be a little bit like T or may be a little bit like me, just be mindful. I'm not saying change who you are as a person, but you have to be mindful. And me too. Like, we have to be mindful of certain things, certain flaws, or if someone points something out. Not all flaws are bad flaws, and I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, because now you know, but now because you know, we know in order to grow and become better, we just work toward it. Like, right? Be mindful of what you say or how people may perceive. And me be mindful of that I need to delegate X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah.
So that's it. It's just being mindful. And if some and it goes back to, and I'm working on this too, it goes back to being able to receive constructive criticism.
But
Oh
you
boy,
know
that's
what,
addictive. Because
Ashley? I'll
yeah.
say this. Sometimes now I'll tell you, it depends on the situation, right? Like I said, when enough is enough, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to be mindful. I'm going to let you know what I want you to know, how I want you to know it. I'm not sitting back and thinking about what I got to say to you. A lot of times when I do that, it does come off better. I will say that. Like you said, be mindful. When I'm mindful of the words that I need to use and I think about it, they come off right. Well, at least I try. And I tell the person, hey,
Yeah.
I thought about this and I want to talk about it, whatever. But when you push me to the limit, I don't care. I really don't care about your feelings. It's like, I want you to know exactly where I am. And that may be mean, but it is what it is.
Okay, okay, I get what you're saying. When people push your button and you've had enough, and you ain't trying to spare nobody feelings because now they pushed you to the limit. Okay, I see that. I hear that. But what I'm saying to you is being mindful beyond just enough is getting, don't let it get to enough is enough. And or catching it before it becomes that enough is enough, right? Because, T, we've been friends for a little while now. And I know that there have been times where it ain't got to that enough point, and it's still some how you come across. And I'm not trying to point it out, but I'm just saying, I think you know that, and I think you are aware of that, and you clarify it, right? And I appreciate that. And so it goes back to, we don't, like, where do we catch ourselves? When is enough, right? Before
Yeah.
it gets to that point where we have a break, before we get to that point where you snap, where we whatever, so when it comes to personal life, professional life, people we love, people we don't like, whatever, I mean.
Yeah. I think that I do identify well when I'm to a certain point, but I don't know why or when I started to push things under a rug. And that was in my professional life and love
Mm-hmm.
life. I don't know why. I know when I was working as an assistant manager, I pushed a lot under the rug on how I felt about my management team, how I felt that they treated me, how I felt that the employees treated me, because I think that I didn't want to be the problematic person. And I know we can go down a rabbit hole with Black women being the problematic person wherever we are. So I didn't
Right.
want
or
that
or the
label.
look or the angry Black woman. Mm.
Right. So I didn't want that label. So what I did was, in my professional life, I kind of pulled away. And I distanced myself, and I didn't really talk to my management team, my manager, or anything. I just came to work, did what I was supposed to do, and leave. And they actually built a lot of animosity with them toward me. I felt like I was an outsider. I think
Mm.
that I could have, did things a little different. Maybe I should have said, like, oh, this is how I feel, or this is what I'm having trouble with. I didn't. I just kind of like shut down and did my work, and that's it. And that's
Mm.
probably not the best way to handle things, especially in your professional life or even love life. Cause like now I think that what I have started to do, like in my love life, I have become more like my partner. And that's not me at all. So
Yeah.
for example, Chris, He doesn't complain about anything. Even if it bothers him, he won't say anything. He just go day by day. And, it's really it's not healthy. If you have like something that's bothering you, like just tell your mate, just have a small conversation, because if it continues to happen, it's going to boil over. Well,
Yes.
it takes me a long time to get to that point, but I do find that I go through stages. Okay, something bothering me, I'll, suck it up, whatever. And then I'll get to the stage where, okay, I'll make sure I'm doing it myself. So this is simple. This is not an issue. But like, okay, say the dishes are piling up, right? I hate it. You get in you're set in things that you do and things that you don't like. So I don't like dishes in the sink overnight. Then I get to the point where I do it myself, right? And then after that, these dishes, they still piling up and I'm doing it myself. So then I feel like, oh, I'm being overworked. This is too much for me. So I continue to do it, but then I take a step back. Because like I've gotten to my point where like, okay, I can't continue to do the dishes. They're piling up. I can't do it myself, right?
So is that the point where you saying you don't complain, you just wait, you just try to figure it out, and then after a while, now you're like, okay, I'm at home, I'm taking care of the kids, and I gotta wash dishes too, or whatever. So yeah, so what I'm saying is, so you're saying you figured out what you don't like, and versus saying something up front, you get to the point where it's like enough is enough, and now you explode saying, dang, I'm tired of the dishes being in the sink because I've always did it, or whatever. So that's what I mean by
no
okay.
I don't explode. I don't explode then.
But then what do you find yourself doing?
No, I still take my time and I leave the dishes there and I do a little at a time until I can get it cleaned. And when things don't change, if like my significant other don't see like, hey, I need some help, I'll say, I think that's when I get to my point. Okay, you don't see that.
Oh, so you want him
to be done?
Yeah. So you want him to recognize, let's go back to it now. You want him to recognize that, hey, there are dishes in the sink. Hey, you should take some ownership and accountability and maybe clean those dishes versus me having to stay at home with the kids and wash these dishes at the same time. Maybe like sharing is caring. Maybe he should recognize that and then say, hey, babe, I'm going to wash these dishes versus you getting to that point where like he don't see it and now it's frustrating for you and you're like, man, enough is enough. Am I understanding that correctly?
Right. And the big thing that I missed, I should have verbalized it when I was like, oh, this is a lot for me. Maybe I need to tell my partner, but I don't, because it's like, oh, I'm trying to match his communication style. And maybe the big thing is I can't handle what he can handle, because once I get to my point, it's like, oh, by then everything is irritating me. The kids, the meltdown, everything is irritating me. Tristan throwing something at me is irritating, when in another day it wouldn't. On another day it would not irritate. So, I do recognize it. I think I just had to recognize that, hey, my communication style is not like my partner, and let's stop doing that. And I think I started doing that because, and this is weird. No, it's not weird. It's society. I never, after a certain time of seeing certain things, I didn't want to be that woman. Oh,
what does that mean?
You always nagging. You always nagging. You always want me to do something. I never wanted to be that woman.
But it's a shared partnership. What do you mean? Like, I'm confused all the way.
In this instance, which this is not real, but I'm just saying, like in this instance, it could be anything similar to that. I always look at like, I'm a stay-at-home mom. It may be expected for me to do all the housework, which I am not.
But I thought y'all had a conversation about that.
We did, but that doesn't mean things are going to happen the way I want it to happen or how it should. how we had the understanding, that doesn't mean anything, because I also have to understand that, like, people get tired. You had a hard day at work. You have different days. You have a hard day at work. I had a hard day at home with the children. We had a hard day going to Costco, and they both had meltdowns, and I had to feed one in the car, and I had to do this, give the other one my phone so he could chill out, but then he wanted to throw the phone. It's just crazy stuff like that, and you could get overwhelmed with everything, and then you have a bad day. My thing is, I don't want to bring that to my partner and go off on him because this simple ass dish in the damn because of the dish, So I have developed not saying anything. Just like leave it there. Don't do that.
Ooh-wee. I don't know, T.
Exactly. And
I
that's
don't agree, but
bad.
because I was gonna say, hold up, girl. You said you came to the not saying anything. That is only gonna last so long, especially if I'm just saying, this is who you see yourself with. There are certain things that will be enough is enough. I no, like I said before, you may have a bad day, he may have a bad day. You don't understand his work, he might not understand what it's like to be a stay-at-home parent. Both could be a lot. But you should not get to the point where you just like conform to, okay, well, I'm not going to say anything. Or, oh, crap, I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to get irritated and it's going to boil over, right? Girl, for those that get like that, for those that are listening, and if that is your situation, we have to be able to figure out how we're going to communicate about it and figure out how we're going to be better and not just conform to, oh, just because I don't want to say anything. Or, oh, just because. Yes, be considerate. I get it. But come on, girl. It's a shared partnership. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, so the most important thing is to be able to recognize when enough is enough before you get there.
Correct.
And do the things, follow the steps that help you just be a better person. Start step 1. Don't let it get to step 5 and then you're exploding.
Right.
Or, or you're breaking down or you're irritable. Don't get that far. You just make sure you can recognize those signs and symptoms before you get there, because sometimes we get burned out. We're trying to do everything. We are super women. Don't get it wrong. But sometimes you got to take a step back and you can't do everything.
Yeah, you are right, T. Show knows to say. That goes back to when we had our talk about carrying the mental load. Now we're here where we're talking about enough is enough, recognizing that before it gets to that point. But sometimes we have to go through things in order to grow. And so, again, this was a good little conversation. I hope that someone could take something from this. But until next time, don't forget to what, T?
Don't forget to follow, subscribe. Hey, send us some comments. We want to talk to y'all, okay? Bomb Ass Moms on Facebook and IG and YouTube.
Yep, that's right. Until next time.
Until next time.